Hi, welcome back. For today, we're going to be doing a reaction to and a breakdown to George Mack Mental Models 101. And I really love this podcast you did. So without any further ado, we're going to run the clip and then we're going to break it down a little bit later. So stay tuned for that.
So like my favorite one from like Charlie was like just Inversion, which was like, this is like quite a nice introduction. This is probably like the most simple one
This
that
is
you
an
can
example of a mental
apply
model.
regularly. Yeah, example of mental model, right? So inversion is almost comes from mathematics when you try and reverse a problem on its head. So for example, the best example I always use, because it's so woolly, trying to figure out, inversion is particularly useful for those woolly conversations or those woolly questions. So like happiness, right? What is, like, how do I become happy? Like people spend their whole lives like exploring that question, like what's this purpose I've got to find? Like, do I have to go to a spiritual retreat in India and sit and meditate for 2 years? But instead, Munger would just say, you just flip it on its head and go, how would I make a happy person depressed? And it's like quite easy, the answer's there then, right? So first thing you do is mess with their sleep schedule. Like completely flip it on their head, have them sleeping late, have them sleeping like awful, have blue light coming in. So you do that. Second one you do is mess with their nutrition. Like you'd have them eating awful food. You'd immediately isolate them from their friends. You'd put them in a shit job. And you just take away any form of meaning or hobbies from their life. So you look at those 5 things there. If you avoid all of those 5, you've basically achieved happiness, right? You're 95% the way there. So instead of like Munger basically looks at it as, instead of trying to seek excellence, just focus on avoiding stupidity. He says that's the success of his career. Like he's never gone out to seek like excellence, him and Warren. It's just always avoiding stupidity.
I really like this because it gives you a different perspective on solving the issue. And that's one of the benefits you get from going to a psychiatrist or even talking to your friend about it, is that you'll tell them an issue you're having and then have just allowing them to give their perspective on it. Or if you just tell something about your life and getting a second like check over and be like, oh well here's an obvious thing to me of how you're messing up. Like flipping a question on its head gives you a way to see it in a different light, and I really like that. So how to be happy, that would be like, how do I make a happy person sad? How do I make money? How would I not make money? Like for this one, constantly be switching tasks, never work on anything that's revenue generating. I'll go through email a lot and binge Netflix shows. Like it's allows you to break it down and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna avoid all those. And then how can I sleep? Well, how can I stay up? Caffeine, energy drinks, being stressed, not having a set circadian rhythm, like not getting sunlight in the morning. All of these things will allow you to flip it on its head, and then instead of just focusing on instead of seeking excellence, just focus on avoiding stupidity. I really like this, but the question I have for it is like, can this lead you to mediocrity, or does it have some natural limit to it? Because in chess, like, can you like you can play a game, not make any blunders, and still lose because the other person's better than you? Like, I'm wondering if as you get better, if if the blunders rise with you. So say you initially consider like losing your queen a blunder in chess. And I know for people that don't play chess, like I don't know, hopefully you can kind of follow along with this, but I play a lot of it. So losing your queen is a blunder in chess. And for anyone, you'd realize that. But I wouldn't necessarily consider like certain positions to be blunders for me if I find my way into them. But a higher level player who should be able to see more moves ahead and understand the game better might see getting into those situations as blundering. So I'm wondering if you can avoid those blunders, do you still win? Or is it possible to avoid those blunders and still not end up with the goals you were initially going for? Or if, like, as you start avoiding more of your blunders, the few and lesser blunders you're making become more apparent to you because you kind of like cleared out the whole lower level. So now you're on like a higher rung, but you still have some blunders to fix up in areas that you're messing up in. Anyways, here is a blog that is very good and talks a little bit more about inversion, but it's like problem, what would be a bad solution? What would be a bad solution? Write that down. How can we avoid it? Good solution. So the one part I'm questioning is this error right here. Does necessarily avoiding bad solutions lead to good solutions? And I don't want to like completely discount this because it's definitely a way to go about it. If you're doing everything perfect in the morning and then for your diet and then you like binge eat at night, avoiding that binge eating would help you to actually achieve your goals. It's like that one binge eating at night could reset and undo all the work you did for the whole day. Some people do this on more extreme scales where they'd be like really focused, really on top of their week, and then on the weekend comes and they just binge drink, and now they lost all those hours that could be productivity, and they kind of reset them back to the start of the week where they need to hit the gym in order to feel good because they keep on like falling into these cycles and getting stuck in them. And then some other questions that you might want to ask and invert is, well, how can I be happy? So how would I make an unhappy person? How would I make a happy person sad? What do I want the rest of my 20s to look like? Are you sure you do not want to do for the rest of your 20s or however old you are? Like, think about it. Do you want to have the same habits you have now? And if you don't do anything to actually actively change them, you're going to wind up getting the same outcome you've always gotten. And then what areas of my life am I messing up on? Well, that's kind of already the inversion of like, how do I have a better life? Is, well, what areas are you currently messing up on? How would I make my life worse? And just avoid some of those. Anyways, this is a quick breakdown of it. I did another video talking more in depth about the health side of it, so I'm gonna pull that up real quick, just the notes I have from that video. So these aren't actually my notes, but the notes from the podcast itself. So how to make a happy person unhappy, and I talk about this a lot. Deprive them of sleep, mess with their nutrition, put them on a shitty diet, isolate them from their friends, take away any form of meaning from their life, and this will make you unhappy. And the sad thing is, so many people in society today like will actually pay to do this to themselves. They will pay money for Netflix subscriptions, for Hulu subscriptions, so that they can spend their time doing something that doesn't energize them or speak to them. They will pay money to go to McDonald's and get that fast food. They'll pay money to get that hyper sugary drink from Dunkin' Donuts. They'll pay money for those munchkins. Like, put them in a shitty job. I actually know people who said that they're talking about how bad their jobs were. And like, yeah, but it's like job security. The shittier it is, the more secure I am. I'm like, holy crap, like you actually believe that? Like, I'm sorry, like, you're absolutely admitting, like, you're actually admitting that your life is horrible and you hate your job. But you're like, well, if I can hate it and deal with it, most people won't be able to put up with the same level of crap that I am. Most people can't settle this hard. Like, that's now the competition you're going for, is I can settle harder than anyone else. Like, I don't know, give some... It's like bragging, yeah, man, I got the ugliest chick. I mean, she's never gonna leave me because, like, I settled so hard. It's like, what? Like, I'm sorry, this is actually, like, you're bragging about this. You're openly admitting that you're happy to work the crappiest job because no one else is gonna want it. It's like so far in the opposite direction that I don't actually think people who think that way could comprehend what I'm talking about in my videos. Anyways, isolate people from their friends. I mean, as guys, we have this tendency to focus on work and relation and like dating and just absolutely cutting out the section, like not necessarily cutting out, but just letting our social lives fall by the wayside. And you need that guy time. You need that time among other men to help you think straighter, to help you understand and like express the part of you that you might not necessarily want to express in front of a woman. Like, there's some unattractive things men do that like you have fun doing. I mean, hell, most women don't want to hear you break down the intricacies of a business model or talk about financing and all these other things, but other guys would be absolutely fascinated to have those conversations and then take away any form of meaning from their life. I feel like this comes right here next to it, where you just put them in a crappy job and they're settling and they are just solely focused on surviving and not actually like doing anything. They kind of fall into this derping mode where they're deprived of sleep, they're getting crappy nutrition, their brain's not functioning properly, they're not present and awake to the moment, and they lose all sense of a higher mission, a higher goal than just work. I get to come home, watch Netflix. This weekend, I can drink beer. Like these stereotypes we see, but they're stereotypes because so many people actually fall into them. Anyways, I am gonna link that video down below, but playlist over here with more of the videos talk from George Mack about so much we've broken down, and subscribe to the channel right here if you made it this far. You like the content, so make sure you're subscribed. It helps out the channel, and give the video a like. But peace out, and I'll be coming out with more of these videos talking about ways to improve your life, ways to look at issues in different light, and how to get back more time and more energy. So hope you enjoyed it.